Hello and welcome to this very special edition of the Irish Wrestling Podcast. My name is Mark O'Brien and I'm joined today by somebody incredibly cool, somebody very, very different, somebody I wouldn't typically have ever thought myself I'd be speaking to somebody in this space. He is probably the most prominent voice in a certain sphere within the wrestling world now. His voice is being lent to every major wrestling promotion over the last 20 years. He's a voice you'll recognize once you know the names of his songs. His name is Zack. Yeah, he is the lead singer of the vocalist of and lead writer of the band Downstait. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words there. Um, Many of you would know his songs from Dolph Ziggler back in WWE, from I'm Here to Show World Perfection to The Miz, I Came to Play, all the way up to the modern day anthem today with Cody Rhodes and his famous song Kingdom. I'm joined by the one and only Zack. Zack, thank you very, very much for joining me today. How are you keeping?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm doing very, very well, man. Life is good.
Brilliant, brilliant. Listen, you've as I touched on there, you've got a massive catalog, and I didn't really realize the extent of it, into which you've actually kind of entrenched yourself in the wrestling sphere for people from WWE, from AEW, from TNA, all across the independents now as well. In short, like, how did you become such a prominent figure as almost the go-to person for people they want a bespoke wrestling entrance theme that speaks to them, their character, their story? How did you become the go-to person for that?
So over the last 10 years or so, I would say that we have become that more or less. We had a really good run with Jim Johnston's writings early with Miz and Dolph and A Rye, even Cody and a Drew
Yeah,
run, where we were just kind of getting our crack at everything when we were real young. We were freshly, in our early 20s and still teenagers for some of those runs.
yeah.
But more recently, within the last 10 years, we just took a crack at the Cody song through connections with Matt Cardona and doing stuff with WWE. And luckily, those guys, gave us a good foundation. All of them kind of started taking off on TV, and people were starting to become aware of the songs that we did for guys that were having pretty good success. From there, I would say more recently, we've had really, really good connections with whoever, whatever batch we just did. The leader of that batch is really, really nice. The wrestling world is awesome, and they pass our information on to the next batch of, let's say, the release wrestlers or anybody. They whenever they ask, hey, do you mind if I give your number out to such and such to do the song? The answer is always yes. We would love to. We're fans first and foremost of all
Yeah.
this stuff. So the wrestlers themselves have been a better connection than anything, especially in the last 2-3 years. Shout out Chelsea, shout out Indy.
Brilliant. I mean, like, I suppose like anything, like if you produce quality work, people will kind of word of mouth more than anything will kind of give good character reference, kind of the work you're doing as well. But like as I say, you have been not just in the wrestling space for probably close to 20 years now, but on top of that, you've been a band since, as far as my limited calculation can estimate, since about 2002. You were at a very interesting name prior to being called Downstate. You're called Label Kills. If I have my limited Wikipedia knowledge up to speed here now, so you've been Label Kills established in 2002. How did you go from being Label Kills in 2002 to suddenly evolving as kind of a local band to suddenly entering the wrestling sphere and producing these anthems within that first 10-year period?
So Label Kills was a skate video.
Okay.
A lot of us, when we were younger, with our original bass player, my drummer, the original drummer, the original bass player, guitar player that's still in the band, and me, we were skate kids,
Okay. Brilliant.
and we watch a lot of skate videos. Label Kills was already licensed,
Yeah.
so there's just no way that we could push forward with that name. And we're smart enough at a young age to be like, that can't work, which
Yeah.
it's a really good name, and I wish we still kind of had it every once in a while. Downstate is a really boring thing. We're from northeastern
Okay.
Indiana,
Okay.
um, but the downstate thing was just something we kind of put our finger on in a dictionary, and ended up working out because it worked out with algorithms. There's a lot of down bands.
Okay.
um, but yeah, it's just a name.
Okay, fair enough.
and,
Well,
and
it's a very analytical choice then in that sense.
yeah.
It's worked out well for you anyway. But listen, you did some very, very cool things. Like I again through my own kind of bit of research prior to this. MTV, you provided the theme song for their show, Bully Beatdown. As somebody who grew up in the 90s, MTV was a very prominent thing in the latter part of the 90s and through the 2000s. A lot of this modern generation, I coach rugby for people from the age of 18 to 25. Most of them won't know what MTV is. However,
Hmm.
it was a huge part of my growing up. Bully Beatdown was a very cool show. How did you manage to land yourself in that space?
Just luck. Uh, we were working with the producer Sahaj Tickerton of the band Raw, like
Okay.
the Sun God.
Yeah.
Um, and through his connections, once he moved out to, well, actually, he was still in Florida when this happened, but just through his connections, because he had been with labels and been in the business for a little bit of time, he had said, "Hey, I got a band, a band still in their teens that I'm working with right now that I think would fit that sound a little bit." They wanted a Limp Bizkit
Yeah.
style song. They wanted some youth in it. We gave it a shot, and then it ran. Sean will say it ran for 2 years. I think it ran a little bit longer than that, but yeah, we laid it down for them. They liked our sound, and from there, that's how WWE found us, was because of Bully Beatdown.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, you touched on there that some of the songs you kind of brought into when you're working with Jim Johnson initially from working with The Miz. There's so many of the songs in that early era that a lot of people, a lot of fans to this day still kind of clamor for. Like my one of my favorite songs is Alex Riley's "Say It to My Face."
Oh yeah,
Like for such an unbelievably talented guy, obviously you don't know what happens in wrestling in terms of politics, people not giving their the go, but that's almost like a cult classic or a cult hero song. That people still to this day have in their wrestling Spotify playlist.
oh
Um,
yeah.
how cool is that to see that songs you may have done in your earlier career, as opposed to being the wrestling space, still being so prominent and talked about and loved as they are today.
I would say so. I Came to Play is timeless,
Yeah,
in that world. We've actually done a new one for Nick, that I think is going to do a little bit better than even Here to Show the World
mm,
Imperfection. But the A song is another one. When we pull that out, when we play it, we did it on the Jericho cruise,
yeah,
and I'm looking at, I'm looking a lot of the wrestlers that are on the boat there, a lot of AEW
yeah,
stars, and they absolutely fanned out the same way that, you know
yeah,
everybody else does. When we started playing that song, they didn't know that we do it. A lot of times when we do these shows, they're like, "Oh, we didn't know that you also did that." We Say It to My Face every single time. We love playing it every time. It's very difficult for me and Sean to do. It's just a lot of
yeah,
words, a lot of breaths. It's physically taxing,
yeah.
but we love playing that song. We get into it just as much as everybody else. It's a
Yeah.
killer tune, man.
It's awesome. And then I suppose like you did craft so many different songs in that time period. And then later through the 2010s, like obviously with Cody for Kingdom, were songs that are layered with people's different stories, be it like Cody, obviously with Kingdom, with Matt Cardona, with kind of his iteration. And then you've got Nick Nemeth's Wanted Man as well. And they're all layered individually for kind of people's different individual stories. What goes into that in terms of like there's so much intricate detail, particularly say Kingdom, for example. There's so much from start to finish through this talking about somebody's individual story, their past, their present, their future, their aspirations. How much time goes into that? Because I'm sure you're given a deadline like this, I need a song by XYZ date, I'm making my indie debut. How much time goes into that and how much thought goes into that process?
Well, some of the deadlines are a little quicker and shorter
Yeah.
than others. With most of them, especially with Nick, I mean, he would honestly, he'd be on my like Mount Rushmore of people that I loved watching
Yeah.
week in, week out. Before we ever worked with him, Dolph was just a guy that was
Yeah.
like must watch wrestling for me. And I mean, he lost every week, and I didn't give a shit because it was just,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of hope with him, and he makes everybody look great, but everything he does is just perfect. So honestly, with him, we were so in tune because we're such big fans. Me and
Yeah.
my brother specifically, but Sean is there now,
Yeah.
just through working in the business. It's not that hard when they're already that good. I'll go to Baron and Indy was our latest batch,
Mm.
before the batch that
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of allowed to talk about. I think Indy was underused, and I was such a bitch. Like there was a little bit of lull in me watching for a while. Indy was must watch for me, and Baron I think is one of the most under. Him and
Oh yeah.
Sheamus I put into this
Mm.
category of some of the most underrated dudes that have ever wrestled.
I can watch Baron Corbin all day long. Just how
I
everything he
love
does is so crisp, so perfect. Everybody lands perfectly in everything he does. So just somebody who's done a bit of wrestling. I absolutely adore him. Sorry to interrupt you.
But no, it's exactly the same thing. And I do have a wrestling background as well because that's what I wanted to
Yeah,
do if this stuff didn't take off.
yeah,
And you just learn to appreciate guys like that. One, I mean, he got his character. He made everybody hate him. He did his
yeah,
job. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
his little last run, he was the biggest baby face in NXT
yeah,
with the like. So I don't know. People just want to bitch is what
yeah,
it
yeah.
is. But like we were so happy when we got approached or we approached them and they said yes.
Brilliant.
Baron ended up getting us hooked up with Matt Heafy from Trivium.
Okay,
Our new song with him is incredible.
awesome.
I love it so much. But for the most part, that our job is easy
Yeah,
because we are such big fans, and for the most part, I would say 95% of these people that are reaching out were already aware of their character or what they're trying
yeah,
to get across. So it is incredibly fun and rewarding. Um, that so I'd say that it's not doesn't take that long, but it's probably taken years of research of watching these people try to get something over to the fans for all these years. So it's really there's a lot more research than I'll say right here, but when it comes down to the actual song, once we have the skeleton, it doesn't take that long for us.
brilliant. Brilliant. Again, I suppose like, there is a huge amount of research, as you say, but it must feel a huge amount of satisfaction then off the back of that. We see certain songs, like obviously like Kingdom, that's the headline one, getting 50 plus million, whatever, iTunes, Spotify plays, whatever it be. And then other songs that take off that perfect for certain characters, be it Matt Cardona's, the Dolph Zigglers of the world, Nick Nemeth, whatnot. How
Mm-hmm.
satisfying is it to see, okay, we've nailed that one, that's landed, that's taken off, people are singing along to it, or people are, or they recognize it kind of, it's a perfect theme as see somebody in an independent setting or a television setting.
So Cardona's he when we did when the lights go down
Yeah.
for him a few years back, I actually did that on a Christmas day.
All right. Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but he had gotten on TV with it, AEW, TNA, and he'd been traveling with it for a little bit. But until we played him out at Hammerstein this year,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think that people actually associated that song with us.
Okay.
Um, when we did that on pay per view for GCW, thank him forever for this because
Yeah.
he put a face to the song that is also his, his celebrity. That song took off for us.
Yeah.
It was one of those tunes that was doing fine, and then it approached and got into our top five shortly thereafter. Now it just sits there
Yeah.
for us. And it's all the way on the back of these wrestlers. Matt, I'll thank forever for this, but he gave the face to the song, and now the song has legs.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously like the song has legs, but it's also like your kind of your reputation has legs. Like, you are the go-to person, particularly that kind of seems to be that class of wrestlers from WWE, that mid to late 2000s, Cody, Dolph, Matt, and everybody. It's kind of their circle of people seems to have expanded from there, and because of their word of mouth, things have gone well. But I suppose like you've talked on you kind of at the start when you're working with WWE. Kind of under Jim Johnson's wing, under his purview as such, and then you've obviously worked with AEW talent, be it like a Britt Baker or a Buddy Matthews, probably in the sense of a more of an independent lens. Like, is there differences when you're having to work under the purview of a strict company guidelines under Jim Johnson, or you're being told this is what we want for a certain guy? Is there a different framework, or is there less creativity, or is there more creativity?
I think that Jim it was so cool to work under his umbrella
Yeah.
when we were so young. I do want to get one thing pointed out. You did say that I was the head writer
Oh,
of
sorry,
the
excuse me.
band. It's me, my brother, and Sean
Okay.
definitely take this on in thirds. So I do appreciate that love, and sometimes I do take a more of a lead, but sometimes like specifically with like Isla
Yeah.
Dawn, Sean wrote
Oh,
that
nice.
entire song with my
Brilliant.
brother. So
Brilliant.
and that's coming out shortly.
Amazing.
So I do appreciate it, but it is more of a thirds thing that
Yeah.
we do here. But back to that, Jim gave us a really good foundation, and kind of held our hand through a lot of this.
Yeah.
So it was really good to learn under his umbrella, learn under Sahaj's umbrella on how to write songs. One of our best compliments slash bashes that we get on the internet is that we just write songs, not wrestling songs. And I think
Uh,
that's hilarious. It's like, no, we write songs and then we
mm,
alter them to become themes, which is what all of them want anyway. If you ask most of these people, they would want to come out to a Linkin Park song or a
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Metallica theme.
Yeah.
Um, no, so anymore when we're working with these talents, we they know what they want to come out to.
Yeah.
And we don't try to box them in too much, which is kind of what happens with producers and editors, which sometimes can be a good thing. I'll say that
Yeah.
sometimes we've worked with people that maybe need a little bit of guidance.
Yeah.
Um, but with these with all these performers now, it's really cool to see them comfortable and say this is what I want. Britt Baker,
Yeah.
for an example, she wanted a Taylor Swift ish tune, but it was kind of a B roll tune that she was referencing,
Okay.
and that's kind of the sound that she ended up getting for
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
song. I can talk about a few that we're working, like Cora. I know what we're
Mm.
going to do for Cora because she's given a decent outline of what she comes out to now on the indies
Mm.
and what she. I haven't gotten her references yet, but we have an idea because when
Mm.
we're fans of her. There's a few others
Okay.
that have given decent references.
Yeah.
They are their character.
Yeah.
If they want to get over, we got to trust that they know what they're talking about for the
Yeah.
most part. So we try to use our expertise in molding the music that they give us. But
Mm.
at the same time, at the end of the day, it's their tune. If they don't like what they're coming out to, if they don't have any passion behind it, it's going to be a tough time for that song to get over.
Yeah, I completely get that. But it does sound like you're inundated with work at the minute, just the amount of talent that are probably coming to you. Like I saw that Duke Cancer, the former Duke Hudson, his song is up on Spotify now as well. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I saw that because I'm actually speaking to him in a couple of days' time. That is incredibly cool. That's a very proactive man. He's obviously put out really cool vignettes. So it's really, really cool to hear that you got so many different people approaching you. You've obviously recently been released.
And some are in other companies,
Okay,
and some we may or may not have already worked for and with in the past that just need something new.
lovely.
And some we met on a boat and they are thriving in some companies. There's just some where I can't give too much
Yeah,
away,
yeah, of
but
course, of course.
there's some stuff coming out with some top tier talents,
Okay.
and we're way excited right now.
Listen, you're inundated, busy making these tracks for people. You're obviously updating people's tracks. You're dealing with companies on a daily basis as well. Is it true that you're a strength and conditioning coach and your colleague Sean is a day by day a lawyer as well?
Yeah, yeah.
How are you managing to juggle all these different avenues and different like almost personas?
So the persona thing, it's funny. I talked to my girl a little bit about it. It's like the hardest thing for me
Yeah,
is to switch on and off.
yeah,
And it's the hardest one for me to switch on and off. Like I can go from coaching and get back here and
yeah,
be tired, exhausted, and be ready to go to
yeah.
the 9 to 5. When I get on stage in front of people, and we just had a show in our hometown in front of about 1,500 people.
Nice. Okay.
That's the one where I'm like I can feel myself physically kind of walking around a little bit. I relate it to the first time I watched Sons of Anarchy on
Okay.
TV. I
Okay.
started walking around with a leather jacket,
Okay.
just with my chest puffed up a little bit. I couldn't help. I don't know why I was doing it, but
Okay.
um, I do struggle with it a little bit, specific to shutting off performing. But when I'm just writing at home,
Yeah.
it's not so hard because nobody knows I'm doing it. I'm just in my
Yeah.
basement studio,
Yeah.
and we go on with our workday.
Yeah, but I suppose like it's probably like an escape for you as much as anything, like the rest of us. Like
Yeah.
I do this, I work in finance during the day, I coach rugby at night, and then I do this kind of wrestling media stuff just as a hobby, just a bit creative outlet, getting to talk to
Yep.
people like yourself as well. So no, that's really, really cool, mate. I really, really appreciate that. Just a few different kind of quick fire questions. That's all right. Um, Wrestling theme tunes. What would be on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling theme tunes if you had a gun to your head?
Ooh. Because of the experience I got off of them. The Jeff Hardy,
Okay,
No More Words. I
okay,
love that.
okay,
The first Randy Orton face run after Evolution.
okay.
I love that tune. Miz because of what it did
Yeah,
for our career,
yeah.
and then I'd have to go. Ooh,
Ooh.
I love Booker T's so
Okay,
much.
okay.
I love it. I think it's just perfect. It doesn't make too much sense, but it so much makes
Yeah.
sense for him. So I've always loved Booker T's.
For me, I've just on the topic of conversation, but it's based on my age. It was The Rock growing up as a kid. He was my hero. The Hardys, just that thump, that theme as they come out, and based on my recent years wrestling fandom, FTR's theme
Nice.
and Kingdom. So it's a
Nice.
Kingdom, genuinely, hand to my heart, is something I almost listen to on a daily basis. And that's been the case since prior to his WWE arrival. For whatever reason, it's kind of just exploded, and people have only realized he's got these amazing lyrics since he's joined WWE. For some reason, it's become a sing along almost.
Yeah.
But those of us who kind of followed him on his independent run or on shows with him at the time, during that run as well, I thought it was amazing for the first time I thought it. So kudos to you, my friend.
I
Um,
appreciate that, man.
no, that's not at all. So I suppose like if for somebody who's possibly in the wrestling space or a fan of the wrestling space, but also kind of dabbles in music, what advice would you give to somebody to kind of get into this space, be it wrestling musician or wrestling and contribute in any fashion?
Um, so it took us a long time to get here. I would say if you truly believe in something,
Mm,
never really give up
okay.
on it. It took longer, and I lived in vans, poor. I wasn't able to pay rent quite a bit. You know, so I don't know if success is
Yeah.
financial
Yeah.
or whatever it is for anybody, but mine was always kind of I want to be able to pay the bills
Yeah.
with the music. So if you truly believe in something, then stick to it. I didn't have a lot of people telling me no, but I had enough people kind of questioning my yes. So
Okay.
if you're stubborn enough to stick to it, make sure you have thick enough skin to write it out.
Okay, fair enough. Listen, fair play. That's what a lesson in perseverance for everybody in any kind of line of work. It's more than anything. Just two quick, very quick fire questions. What's your proudest moment in music and wrestling so far?
Philadelphia, I was in the crowd when Cody finished the story.
Awesome.
Emotions took over for that. We
Nice.
were on the
Okay.
floor with that one. Close second was when Miz came out the first time because they
Okay.
didn't tell us that was going to happen. And so I'm kind of doing
Hmm.
three here, and then playing Cody out to the ring at Revolution in Chicago. So
Awesome.
all three of those kind of fit
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed this. The What was
No,
the
no.
next?
So it was the music and kind of my last question was then going to be just throw this in there. Cody a while ago in an interview talked about when he was negotiating with WWE that he during the negotiation process, WWE were saying, we'll come up with a new theme. We don't want to pay for a new song." And then he turned to them and said, "Well, if you don't bring Downstait and Kingdom on, you don't have me." What was that like? According to legend, you were on the phone call as well. What was that like in that moment? I don't know if you were suddenly like, "Shit, what have I done?" or "Fuck, what's going on here?" Was that the longest moment of your life, or possibly the most exciting moment of your life?
So both. It was he always promised us when he got into the indies that he was going to take it back with him if he ever when he went back. He never
Yeah,
said if, he said when.
yeah,
So he's always been really good about this stuff. Yeah, we were on the conference call with him, and we said our piece, and we didn't want to buy out. I remember that being a
yeah,
kind of a part of it, and then Cody kind of spoke up and broke the silence and said, "Hey, you don't get Kingdom, or you don't get me without Kingdom."
yeah.
And then the combo kind of ended, and then we're signing some release papers, aware that he's coming out at Mania that
Okay.
year. So we were privy to stuff, and it clearly it worked out.
Yeah, yeah,
But it was one of the most. I was shaking on the other end of the phone
yeah.
call for sure. Just like this end of the run, boys. This is a fun run.
Well, anyway, let's say it all worked out for the best. Like you've delivered so many moments off the back of your lyrics and your anthems over the last 20 plus years in the wrestling space. I want to thank you first of all for not just for your time, but for delivering that so many moments and memories for all of us all over the world. So Zach, thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much.
No worries. And just before we go, is there any sort of upcoming projects you've got on the horizon or anywhere our fans can find you online, any concerts or anything on the horizon at all?
So I'm not allowed to talk about
Okay,
something in 2026
no problem.
that we're going to be doing, but it's something similar to what we did in 2025.
Okay.
Um, we Isla Dawn's coming
Yeah,
out soon. We
brilliant.
just finalized her mix. We're working with Oro. I can talk
Okay.
about that a little bit. We're working
I
with Cora.
he's a gentleman. I spoke with him yesterday, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I love his tune. That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun to work on. And then we have two stars in the other company
Okay.
that we are working with right now
Okay.
that I'm very, very excited for. One
Nice.
reached out actually today, and one we have wrapped up, and we're just waiting for the right time to debut this tune that is finished. So
Brilliant. No,
It's yeah, it's a good tune.
no, yeah,
Good
th- th- th-
featured artists on it as well.
that's a lot to look forward to, particularly for those of us who are avid wrestling music listeners and wrestling watchers at the same time. So, Zach, listen, thank you very, very much for your time for again, and I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great day.